feel like Gordon Bombay would have taken his career to even further heights.
Everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's
Fun. Open wide for some soccer.
I don't care what you think about what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the Cowboys.
Call this college rule.
Welcome back to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris. This is Dom. We're a couple of comics out here talking sports. We're actually in the middle of a block episode on some real wrestlers.
Real wrestling.
So here we go. Before we get started, please follow all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube. Give us some comments. We've actually been getting comments on athletes to actually do some on. We are going to do that. The shout out to
AstroStar49, thank you for commenting. That list was freaking fantastic, and we are definitely going to make those happen, or as many of them happen as we possibly can. So thank you not only for listening, but your suggestions and following directions.
That's
more than
right.
anything else.
That's
I mean,
right.
like,
you get a gold star.
you get a gold star and a pizza party. So thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Banana stickers.
Oh, banana stickers? Dang.
All right. We're talking Brock Lesnar because we're back in the real wrestling.
Real wrestling.
And let's
Let's kick it off. Brock Edward Lesnar, born July 12th, 1977 in Webster, South Dakota. His parents, Stephanie and Richard. He grew up on a dairy farm like Pam, Poovy, and Archer.
And if you look at this guy later on and you would be like, where did that guy grow up? I would say a dairy farm.
I would say a dairy farm. It's like, where is he from? Dakotas. Which one? Does it matter?
Does it
no,
matter?
it's just the Dakotas.
Just one of them.
Just that country and the crew cut, Chris.
Oh, my
the
God.
The crew, like, it makes so much sense. Like, it doesn't look good on everyone.
And he's never had a different haircut.
No.
He's never experimented. He's never like, I'm going to grow this out. No.
And you know what? He doesn't wear jean shorts like a future rival and the guy that comes back from Afghanistan.
Wow.
Kiss from a rose, Chris.
That's true.
So he had 2 older brothers and a younger sister. In high school, he played football and he wrestled, which not real wrestling, but like Olympic-style wrestling.
That's right.
I believe at Webster High School, he got 3rd in wrestling in state as a senior. I don't know how many wrestlers there are in South Dakota, but 3rd in anything is good.
That's right.
He
goes to kind of not a huge school. He goes to Bismarck St. College.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but when he was 17, he joined the Army National Guard.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he joined the Army National Guard, worked a desk job. He wanted to work with explosives, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Because
that makes sense.
You know what? Fire.
Yeah, I like it.
The reason he was put at a desk job, though, is he was red and green colorblind, which if you're cutting wires,
it's
probably some colors you want to know.
That's right. I did see he was colorblind, which...
So,
yeah.
I mean, this isn't Vinny Testaverde where it's like, oh, the logo. It's like, which wire do I cut?
I cut the red one.
Did you?
Did you?
Brock, you're missing your hands.
That's right.
So, anyway, he was discharged after he failed a computer typing test because what do those eggheads know?
It's true.
Typing. And started working some construction. But he decides to go, as you said, to Bismarck State College, North Dakota. The Dakotas, Chris, they're interchangeable.
But
Sorry,
McGriff Falls, if anybody else knows. He definitely excelled in wrestling when he went to college. Like he was really great in high school, but you could see like he was really great. I think he got something like 5th or something as a freshman, but then it ended up transferring to the University of Minnesota on a wrestling scholarship.
Yeah, because in 1998, his sophomore year at Bismarck, he won the National Junior College title.
Yes.
Essentially for wrestling. So he goes to
wrestling.
This is not real wrestling. His roommates was Shelton Benjamin, who was one of his coaches, who's a future real wrestler, too.
I thought that was actually really cool.
In 99, he finishes 2nd in the entire country. He loses to Stephen Neal, a guy we brought up on a previous podcast, our Ricky Williams episode, because he wrestled Ricky Williams there in San Diego. Also a decent guard for the New England Patriots and other videotaping teams. But then in 2000, I'll never let it go, Chris. He wins a national championship.
Yes,
as a senior, which is pretty awesome as a heavyweight. Mm-hmm. So he's an athlete first, as all the people we're doing episodes on, whether it's Kurt Engle, all of these fellers. 2-time National Junior College All-American, 98 National Junior College title, 2-time NCAA All-American, and a national title holder. It's pretty damn impressive.
Yes, and something I saw because I kind of thought he was going to do more amateur wrestling, like because I didn't know about all of his way, but he really went from amateur wrestler to WWF or whatever because they were really scouting a lot of these amateur wrestlers. They were like, if you have, especially heavyweights, if you have this look that he really has, they want to develop you.
Well, I mean, who blazed the trail for him? Kurt Angle.
That's right. And that was what I was about to say is Kurt Angle, check out that episode, last one we just released. Kurt Angle literally was their blueprint of looking at it being like, oh, he can adapt to wrestling really fast and the look that they have already.
WWE does not require you to cut wires, Chris.
That's true.
All it does is ask you to be a real wrestler. A real one. So in 2000,
he's like, I'm wearing green tights. They're like, all right, Brock, sure you are, bud.
The Revolting Blob, the 1983 edition of Wrestling World.
He was supposed to pinch twice when he was running short of air.
Funny how someone could get his teaching degree, Max. Shortly after.
Sad. And that's why Brock Lesnar will never teach again.
It's true. He will lie about it, everything. 2000, he signs with the WWF, the Ohio Valley Wrestling, the OVW, and he is handpicked by Booker Jim Cornette, and he's part of the Minnesota Stretching Crew, which just sounds like a porn name, Chris. We've had a few of these instances, like the Glenn Davis and Doc Blanchard, Mr. Inside. Minnesota Stretching Crew is just like, that sounds like a tuna fish hot dish of stuff.
We stretch for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're right. And he excels right away. The biggest thing that they were saying that he wasn't great at was his mic, like his stage presence. But like wrestling obviously came natural.
Well,
but
obviously.
he needed to work on his like charisma and his persona and a lot of that. And they said that they just kind of like would have the manager talk.
You know what it's like? It's like comedy. I mean, you can be the funniest motherfucker out there, but unless you have stage mechanics and presence and know how to do the mic technique.
Stop pulling your dick out.
Exactly. You know,
Or
light your bush on fire.
That's what I mean. You need to know. You need to read that audience and know.
You got to know what they're hungry for.
This is a dick out audience.
They're ready for some stretching.
That's right.
In 2002,
Minnesota, we're going to get those shirts going because...
Please let there be a shirt of Emilio Estevez, possibly not with pants on, that says Minnesota Miracle Stretching Crew.
Now we're talking. Now it's coming together.
Now it's coming together, Pepper.
Come on, brother.
So, March 18th, 2002, he makes his Raw debut with Paul Heyman as his agent.
And that's I forgot the guy's name. Paul Heyman comes out and pretty much does all of his talking for him, which sometimes really works for these like bigger guys where the mystery, it's almost better to keep that for them to open their mouths and kind of fuck everything up.
Exactly.
Know?
Yeah. Because they'll do that.
They'll do that.
They're prone to do it.
And you're just like, oh, this guy sucks.
Yeah, you're just like, that voice is way too high to fit that body.
Yep. Deepen that up.
Named him the next big thing. And he started a feud with the Hardy Boys, which I found great. I don't know what their wrestling shtick was, but I'm just assuming they had raging clues all the time.
Oh, they solved mysteries.
They solved mysteries.
Yeah.
So drove around in a van and solved mysteries.
That's what, they were the Hardy Boys. I always thought, and somebody said this, because when you look at the other wrestlers that he would do like programs with, for a while, they were so undersized compared to him.
Well, huge and massive.
And he was just, until we get into the man with jean shorts, it's almost every single one. And Goldberg, that was the other one. But still, even Goldberg was like small, not small, but like you were just like, oh, Jesus Christ, Brock is so gigantic.
I just remember the first time I saw Brock Lesnar, I'm like, he's from Iowa or somewhere over there, and he will steal your soul by looking at you. Mm-hmm. So, very intimidating character.
He's going to rip your arms off and beat you to death with them.
Wins the 2002 King of the Ring, though, at Summer. So, he's an instant star in WWE. And rightfully so, because he has that look of a real wrestler.
Yep.
Pretty much.
And he has the wrestling skill.
Yeah.
The real wrestling
He's not just
skill.
spearing people like Goldberg.
Exactly.
It's like,
exactly.
I mean, it's very Kurt Angle-y.
Yes, he has that angle.
He's got that angle. He's got that stretching angle, if you know.
That's
what
that's
they like to call it.
It's pretty good.
He's starting feuds with Hulk Hogan, and by August 25th, 2002, he is the youngest WWE champion at age 25.
I thought that was pretty ridiculous, but then when you look at just his rise, because he just came straight from college to, like, he didn't have that middle part that a lot of people have.
I mean, do you think he would have taken college less seriously outside of staying eligible if he knew this is where his life was going?
Hell yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, this is the second quickest, the youngest, but the second quickest WWE champion since the motherfucking Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, but how can you deny him? He's like basically Kurt Angle. It's like ready-made. You just need to know how to talk into a camera.
And I feel like it's better than Kurt because he almost comes with mystery where Kurt came with, like, I'm an Olympic. He came with all this stuff as being Kurt Angle. Brock came as just like, oh, here's this dude who's just going to kill people.
It's a mystery. It's like, yeah, he won a championship, but Kurt's like, oh, he sat down with Bob Costas that one time.
Yes.
Like, we know Kurt.
Yes.
He's friends with us.
Exactly.
We don't know what he's going to do.
Exactly.
So, basically, just an absolute insane rise to fame for him. By 2003, he's fighting against the Big Show, fighting our boy Kurt Angle as well. And he has a no way out match with Chris Benoit before all the madness came in. We always got to do a Benoit drop.
So did his wife.
Yes, she did. She had a Benoit drop. Oh,
she had a no way out match. Come on, boys, come on.
Nobody else fell. Poor Crime Dog. So
yeah, nobody else fell. Crime Dog.
March 30th, 2003 at WrestleMania, he beats Angle and wins his second WWE championship. Beats him with a shooting star press that ends in a concussion.
I was going to say, and this is the one that everybody said was super scary because he was gigantic, but he also was, like, fast and athletic, so they wanted him to do this, like, really athletic move, and man, did he land right on his neck.
Oh, my God.
They were saying, like, he was very lucky to not be paralyzed.
I mean, it's insane. And what they said was he improvised the duration of the match post. So there was more wrestling to do.
There was.
After the concussion. He just, you know what he did though? And this is what makes him a true champion. He grabbed his nutsack. He went full improv and said, yes, and.
It's true.
He yes-anded his way to beating Olympic champion and WWE champion Kurt Angle. And I don't
You must get so much adrenaline too. Just like, it must be a really silly thing because you are hurting yourself and you have to know that, but at the same time you're like, this match has got to finish, and like just all of that just thought has to be kind of a weird one.
It's like when I was fat and I was just downing car bombs and just killing, like I was in the fucking zone.
Hell yeah, now we're
just
talking.
like, make it happen.
Yep.
Gah.
You got to force it out.
You got to force it out. Then April 27th, 2003, starts up a feud with John Cena.
Yeah,
with John
our boy.
Cena. Kiss from a Rose, John Cena.
That's right. American hero.
American hero. Keeps on having some issues there with the Big Show and Kurt Angle here. And then loses that July to Angle at Vengeance. I love the names for these.
Me too. We brought that up before where it's like, I don't know who comes up with the names, but they really are appropriate. And they go with the storyline. So, like, the storyline will be going, and you're like, here we go. It's Vengeance. Kurt Angle's coming back for Vengeance. And you're just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I did not watch wrestling for a very extended period of time since I was a child. But, like, going back, I know why it hooks people in.
Oh, my God. It's awesome.
It's like that ex you just get dragged back to. It's like, why are you on my I remember.
Yep.
I remember. No Mercy that October. He beats The Undertaker in a biker chain match.
Which was a weird one. You know what? Sometimes they just throw shit up against the wall and see what sticks. And that one didn't necessarily stick.
All I could think of is Emmanuel Lewis as the head of Webster's Dictionary. He challenged Angle later that year at Elimination in a tag team match. What was it? John Cena ended up joining Kurt Angle for this one. That November, he lost to Chris Benoit. And then as we get into 2004, we're nearing the end of the first installment.
So we brought this up in the Goldberg episode. Where I was so surprised that wrestling fans were so into it that they understood that these guys' contracts were ending. And it's such a weird thing for me because I always thought that would have been like such an epic match. Yeah. And you wouldn't have really known that these guys are like, this is it for us, but everybody knew that.
Chris, when you pay top dollar for full quality theater, you want to know these people. You want to get involved. You want to be you want to become them. You want to be the spirit of the Nightman.
That's true. You
want to be the spirit of Brock Lesnar. Like, you got to pay the troll toll.
Wait, are you trying to have sex with a young boy?
No. I become him. He fills me.
Now, I know that I wrote toll, and you're saying hole.
He has like a Werther's original in his mouth.
It's insane. Can we have a 5, please? Can we have a 5? I'm here.
You don't want to see me. So back on to WrestleMania 20 with Goldberg 2004.
I was just
so sorry.
Say, it was supposed to be this huge epic thing, WrestleMania 20, and the fans pretty much just boo them for their entire match because they were like, "Screw these guys, they're done."
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. He's the ref. I've watched this 2 times in the last week. That's how much I've been watching this. Just like, this was so good because they were just booing him, and then Stone Cold, he gives the stunner to Brock, and Goldberg thinks he's awesome, and then he gives one to Goldberg, and everyone's just like, that's why you're our president or whatever.
I really hope he becomes our president.
Next, not this round, but
2028. Austin Johnson. We're doing it. We're freaking doing it. It's Camacho.
Oh, man.
So the reason Brock is quitting wrestling, or real wrestling at this point, is he has another career path open up for him.
I thought this was interesting.
This was dope. I remember this distinctly, too.
Yes.
I was rooting so hard for him.
He goes to the NFL Combine and tries to become a NFL player. And what everybody was saying when he went through the Combine was he is one of the most athletic people for his size. Now, if he is going to, or at least he has the athleticism of that, like NFL great.
He's
but
like any unpolished prospect at the Combine. He just has so much more less experience than them.
I was just going to say, and everybody is looking at him like, oh, this is going to be great. But then once they get him out on the field, it is obvious that his skill just isn't there.
It's the reps. He just doesn't have the reps, which is sad because it's 6'4", 275. He's just like a freak for a defensive lineman in like a 4-3 scheme.
And that's what he literally had however many years off at this point of just never playing.
And it sucked because after the Combine in April of that year, he was involved in a motorcycle accident.
Yep.
So he broke his jaw, his left hand, and bruised his pelvis. How the hell did he even come back and join training camp? But that's what he did. Because that July he signs with the Vikings, and he played preseason with them.
I think he played every single preseason game because they were like, we're excited about the potential that you have. And I feel like he just couldn't get over that hump.
No. And it's like I said before, if he had played at Bismarck State College in maybe U of M for a couple of years,
yes,
there would have been a way higher likelihood of him making the NFL. It's just that's really hard to do. And plus, at this point, I think he's 27, 28 years old.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, does not make it with the Vikings. Cut that April. But he starts real wrestling again in Japan.
I thought that was interesting. Because it was almost not like a money grab, but it was almost like I can almost do this because NFL is not an option.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you take the money?
Oh, especially in the Japan ones because they were saying they pay so much. It's almost like everybody wants to do the meet and greets and they talk about the wrestlers that go over there. It's like, dude, Japan's a
and
cash
he's probably
grab.
Advertising everything from Kieran to Chinpokomon, essentially.
That's awesome.
Chinpokomon.
Let's see why our kids are really into this.
Hey, everybody, I got you. So anyway,
your penis is so big.
It's Mr. Dunnick, Chris.
My penis is so small.
I spoke with Emperor Hirohito. He said my penis was so big.
I spoke with Emperor Hirohito. It's such a great one.
Probably top 5 South Park if you haven't seen it. Anyway, after his stint there in Japan, 2005, 2006, now he finds I love him because you know what? He's a true Renaissance man for beatings. He really is.
He really went through, because he kind of made the decision he wasn't going to be a wrestler really early in his career.
Yeah.
Tried NFL, didn't work out, went to Japan, wrestled a little bit more, and now we see him go into the MMA world.
Yep.
Which he dominates right away.
Well, he's so much bigger than everyone else.
And he's, like we were saying, so athletic for his size.
It's not necessarily the NFL. I'm not shitting on MMA, but when you're that much bigger and stronger than everybody, you can get away with a lack of technique by just being a mammoth human being.
Yes.
And he is laying the wood straight up to people.
So he starts in K1 and he beats Min So Kim. And they were saying he literally, the guy tapped out from being, because he was on top of him, just like beating the shit out of him. He was just like, I'm done. No, please stop. So he immediately gets a UFC debut, which is really fast.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying. It was just like, it was this thing that he had star power behind him. It was almost like Kurt Angle joining the WWF, where it was just like, oh yeah, we already know who this guy is.
You don't have to market him. People know who he is, whether you're a football. That's kind of how I learned to know him more outside of, because that was like the end of when I started watching wrestling.
Yeah, but the attempt to transition, I feel like everybody was in on that. They were like, oh shit. And then we see him actually get a loss against Frank Mir, where they were saying he wasn't skilled enough because he literally ankle picked him and just put him in a knee bar right away. And that's what they were saying. If you look at that fight compared to the next 5, because I think he goes on
dude, the next fights that he had in a row before the illness and injuries was fucking insane.
And this is what everyone was saying. It was just you can tell that one he was just a little new, a little fresh, and then every other one up until when he gets diverticulitis, he is so dominant. It's crazy.
So he ends up at UFC 91 as a title fight with Randy Couture, champion for the UFC Heavyweight title. Randy Couture, if you don't know, from The Expendables. Watch that movie. And this is November 18th, 2008. And dear Jesus.
This is because a lot of people are kind of talking shit because he's 1-1 at this point in the UFC. He lost to Frank Mir. He beat this other guy, Heath Hearing, and people were thought that Randy was really gonna take care of him, and Brock really showed what a fucking ridiculous athlete he is.
Whenever I watch him fight, I just think of that scene in Dirty Work where they're the real cops. Then he's like, oh yeah, I'm sure they needed time off after beating us mercilessly.
I love when he punches him and he just doesn't do anything, and then Norm punches him and it's just nothing.
Hey, how come you get a pool cue? So he fights Mir again for the. I will never not love that movie.
Pina coladas,
G7.
I think that's my favorite line.
Didn't get my nose bitten off by a Saigon whore.
There's a lot of trunk space in that.
Lord knows I have, Chris.
So beats Randy Couture. He's literally the UFC champion. This is Lord God. I try to let that one go.
I can't do it.
That one's one of my favorites. Dirty Work. Check it out. So it's just like WWF where he makes this rise right away, and he's the champ, really right into it. But then they put him up against Frank Mir, where everybody says Frank's gonna
UFC 100.
Out wrestle him, essentially.
July 11, 2009 for the undisputed title.
Yep.
I want to bring that up.
And Frank gets dominated.
He gets his ass beat.
It's one of those things where he gets ground and pounded so quick that you're just like, oh, geez, this is Brock at his peak.
Could you imagine him in college wrestling those guys? When the only guy you lost the title to played in the NFL for a decade.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think Stephen Neal was 2 or 3 time NCAA champion. So that's wow. And you're rain like Frank Costanza. As I rained blows down upon him, I knew there had to be another way. UFC.
It's for the rest of us.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chris, so much.
Shane Carwin is his next.
Oh, I just want to bring this up. So after the fight, he flips off the crowd.
I forgot. Yeah,
because they were not happy.
No,
they were not happy.
They didn't like him. He really thought he was going to be like this baby face. I'm using these WWF terms. But he really was a heel because he was almost like given this stuff too early. But he proved that he was worthy of it.
Yeah, it's like watching Brendan Schaub in comedy.
Yes.
And you're like, you don't, and then, but unlike Brock Lesnar, he proves it.
He proves it.
He proves it. So, he flips off the crowd, said he hated Bud Light, which was sponsoring the event, promoted Coors Light, and said, Bud Light, don't pay me anything. Nothing. Let me tell you what, Kid Rock, he hated Bud Light before you did, before it was cool.
He was on the vanguard of that.
God.
Yeah,
For completely different reasons, obviously.
I thought that was great because he kind of, at this point, is like leaning into being the heel. Where he's almost like, yeah, well, fuck you guys.
But he's the perfect heel because he looks like that bully you're afraid of.
Yes.
Like in school.
100%.
Like he will shove Joe Rogan in a locker.
Yeah.
So anyway, he, like we were saying, he goes just on this Shane Carwin fighting. Basically just another fucking ass kick.
Dominating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he really is dominating. And these fights are kind of spaced out. They're like every 6 months to a year or whatever. He was talking about one of the reasons why he left the WWF is because when you're injured, you essentially have to wrestle every single week.
Yeah.
So like he was talking about when he became the WWF champion, he like his knees were all torn up and he had like a shoulder problem or something. He was like, I had to go out the next week and wrestle. I was literally the champ. And then he was talking about becoming the champ in WWE or in UFC. And he was just like, I had a year to like
rehab.
To recover and then go into the next fight. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. But now he comes into a fight that a lot of people thought he was going to really dominate, and he ends up losing against Cain Velasquez.
But in between here, what we have for him, because it's kind of spotty as far as when he's coming back, he gets a touch of the diverticulitis.
So, and this is what everybody says because he comes in almost like a different fighter. I'm not trying to take anything away from Cain, but
he has fecal matter in his abdomen because he tore his intestines.
Yep.
For whatever reason.
They thought it was mono for a while, and then they finally found it was diverticulitis.
Trust me, I've had mono. I would rather have diverticulitis and just shit my brains out.
Well, There's
a couple episodes where I have mono that you can listen to, and I am just not.
It's pre-video. It sucks. I wish it was.
It's just me coughing and Ty trying to put it down.
Yeah. But they said they took out 12 inches of his lower intestine.
It's crazy.
Which is a lot to take out for diverticulitis. Normally it's like 3 to 6 inches. And so it must have been really bad.
And then you have to fight Cain fucking Velasquez.
Yep.
So not good. Not good for anybody.
No.
It's not going to be good for business. That's not going to be good for anybody.
That's not going to be good for anybody.
So loses October 23rd, 2010 at the Honda Center there in Anaheim. Just crappy, dude.
Yeah. Just
lack of a better word.
Yeah. And then fights Alistair Overeem, and everybody thought this was going to kind of be his comeback, and Alistair goes straight for the body shots.
Yep.
And this is what everybody was saying. They were like, well, if his stomach is fucked up, just kick him. And that's exactly what he did. And he literally went down from body shots. And it was like, all right, I don't think he can go on anymore because he has such a vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't even know.
Bro, what fucking could have been, like, had he not received that shitty medical treatment in Canada?
Yeah.
Like, you could have had another 2 to 3 years where he just
dominated,
wrecked people.
Even long, you don't like you just don't know because he was so dominant.
Yeah, but he finds a new career again. Well, I won't say it's a new career. He just finds some. He goes back to what's home.
I was gonna say, I feel like the money at this point is like increased a shit ton. So like now that everybody kind of sees UFC's done, it was like come back to WWF for $5 million a year or whatever, like the the amount they were saying at that point was so much.
How could you turn that down?
Especially
honestly?
now that he has this almost like authenticity where he's just like, he actually beats people's ass.
He has more of an origin story.
Story.
I think to me with wrestling, what makes you interesting is it's like super mysterious, like fucking, him at the beginning, or now he's coming back, taking names and kicking ass. So in April 2012, general manager of Raw, John Laurinaitis, one of the Road Warriors back in the day, gets him to come back.
Yeah.
Gets him to come back.
I thought that was cool.
I think, dude, that's amazing that he would go and do it.
The Road Warrior gets him to come back.
His son was a pretty good linebacker for the Rams back in the day, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he was at Ohio State when Shane Falco was there.
Oh, okay.
He did actually play for OSU. But anyway.
I know.
Okay. He starts a feud right out the gate with Triple H.
Pre-FBI. Yeah, but this was the thing that everybody was saying, like the Triple H feud was one of the better ones with them because they were almost both hated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were almost like two heels kind of like going at each other.
It's like watching prime Manning versus Brady games where you're just like,
I don't like either of these.
Bob Barker.
Like either of these guys.
Boo! Who are you booing? Everyone.
All of them.
All of them. So the feud with Triple H basically nets him. It gets him back in the mix, essentially. Like it's like, good old Brock Lesnar's back. In early 2014, he beats the Big Show at Royal Rumble, and then it sets the stage for WrestleMania 30,
where a lot of people didn't like this.
No,
he beats the Undertaker.
Yeah,
and because the Undertaker was undefeated for WrestleManias, and they thought he should have just retired as an undefeated WrestleMania wrestler, and Brock kind of came in and beat him.
When you have creative script writing, Chris, you just have to.
That's true.
That's very true.
You have to take every turn. Sports
Illustrated called it the most shocking event since the Montreal Screwjob with Bret the Hitman Hart, actually.
Damn.
That August, he beats John Cena to win the World Heavyweight Championship and also again in Royal Rumble in 2015. I feel like at this point with Cena, there should be a belt, but there also should be jean shorts.
Yes, that goes along with it.
Yeah, like a championship pair of jean shorts that you just, hand over to the person as they're sitting there.
I saw somebody talking about Brock Lesnar, and they were like, you don't really, like, when it's a one-on-one match, you get that he's, like, bigger than the other guy. But when it's, like, the Royal Rumble, and there's, like, literally, like, 8 guys in the ring, and you just see how much bigger and faster he is, you're just like, oh, yeah, this guy is not fat at all.
No, that's
you know
the
what I
other
mean?
thing.
There's so many things where you look at these other wrestlers and you're like, dude, I actually commend you for that body type and what you're doing because this dude is fucking ripped.
This is what peak performance looks
This
like.
is what peak performance.
This is what peak performance.
Oh, that's so good.
He doesn't work out his glamour muscles only.
It's true.
It's true. So, 2015, he starts a new feud with Roman Reigns, and at WrestleMania 31 starts the Suplex City bitch craze.
Which is funny when you hear him say it. It's almost comical. So, I mean, to us, I feel like, you know what I mean? Because he like suplexes everyone and goes, Suplex City, bitch.
He needs to do it from where he's from in the Fargo accent. Oh, my God, dude.
That would be perfect.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Suplex
yeah.
City, bitch. Oh. Like fucking the mom from Bobby's World.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Some Minnesota mom action.
Minnesota Miracle Moms. So he's got 2015 in Hell in a Cell. He's going against The Undertaker. Wins Match of the Year during the 2015 Slammy Awards.
Yeah.
And then wins at WrestleMania 32 against Ambrose with an F5, which that's his like signature move.
Yeah.
It's actually trademarked. He couldn't use it when he wrestled in Japan. WWE trademarked that shit.
That actually makes sense.
I forget what he changed it to, but yeah, like it's only like they own that.
Yeah, they own that.
Yeah.
Like I bet the Stone Cold Stunner is owned by them and shit like that.
Like if he was just doing it in the backyard, he'd be looking around for like, when they said at the beginning of a baseball game, it's like without expressed written consent.
Yes. You're looking around. You're just like, don't videotape this.
Is it okay? All right, we got it.
got
No
it.
one's watching the Padres anyway.
You got it, brother.
By At this point, though, he ends up failing a UFC drug test.
Okay, I was going to say, so this is when he decides to go back to UFC and fight Mark Hunt.
Yes.
Who was a huge hitting heavyweight.
Yeah,
and,
he was.
Brock wins the fight, and then it comes out as he tests positive for whatever.
The drug that he tested positive for, I think, was supposed to create ovulation in sterile ladies.
So I was going to say, because he actually got busted in 2004 with some, I think it was like some sort of HGH or something, but it was back before it was illegal.
Yeah.
So the judge threw it out and said it was like vitamins. So if anybody was saying like,
better take your vitamins.
Yeah, Brock definitely has had some help to look like that, is all I'm saying.
But you know what? If you can afford it, why not get help? I mean, I would take steroids if I could, but then it would just result in every show I do doing the Melinda bit for a half hour. And
choking out some audience members.
Oh my God, we're burning alive! In comes the meat wagon.
Yeah, it'd be too much Farley.
It would be disturbing. So that's why I don't take steroids. I mean, maybe make my big balls shrink, but I'm not gonna do it.
But this is what they were saying was he might. It would have been better if he just didn't come back.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it doesn't have the mystery. It's like, oh, Marge, don't worry about it. Maybe I'm not getting enough estrogen.
Yep.
But anyway, WrestleMania 33. There in 2017, meets up with his old pal, Goldberg, once again, as we talked about in a previous episode.
Yep. And this, I did find this interesting because it was almost like a redemption for them where it came back and it was the match that was favorable,
No more Steve Austin just being like, crowd, I know you're angry, but I got this.
We're turning this around.
I got this. He wins a WWE Championship for the 5th time, which I thought was pretty cool. Next kind of couple of WrestleManias. They're in 2018, 2019. Fights Roman Reigns and then Seth Rollins again. So, and he's still at it as of 2023, even with COVID and everything else.
I was just going to say, I was surprised to see that. And they say this, he's literally been a headliner in the WWE for every time, whenever he's in it. You know what I mean? So, like, he was huge in the UFC, and whenever he's in something, it's almost like him, The Rock, or like him, somebody else in UFC. Conor McGregor wasn't around then. But you know what I mean? So, we're like, he is always just like the poster child of whatever organization he's in.
And he's 46 years old, and he is a fucking stallion.
Yes.
I mean, just like still doing it like a champion. And Brock Lesnar, I mean, like that's what I find so amazing. He's like, normally when guys get older, what was it, the Greg Giraldo roast to Hulk Hogan? He's like, I thought your show was called Hogan Grows Breasts.
Oh my God, that's so good. But you look at all these wrestlers, they're almost like in shape but fat, and he is just in shape.
I mean, that's what's amazing. You keep doing you, Brock Lesnar. Honestly, like, can't wait to watch more of you and everything else that you do. Keep living the dream, big guy.